and we don't have a camera. Oh, we do have a camera. I was like, the hell? How's everybody doing today on
Hello.
this wonderful day? Our Devstream day. It has been 2 weeks since our last Devstream. Welcome to our bi-weekly Devstream. My name is Matt. To my right is Max, aka Crazy Flying Chicken. Above me to the right is Mark, and above me to the left is HB. And to the far right is Devstream number 88. He's our newest member of our team. Uh, anyway, that was a dumb joke. Let's keep it rolling. I was gonna say something, but I totally forgot. HB, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing well. Yeah. Why me?
I don't know.
Why you
just
singling me out, man?
I was deflecting because
I'm happy to have my beard back, so that's good.
yes,
Happy
you're
about
looking slick. Max, how are you doing?
Fantastic.
Mark,
Very stressed out, but good otherwise. We sort of every big update, it's this is sort of like the maximum stress point when we have we're trying to close out the update and there's a lot of issues obviously to resolve. But it's good. We did have a bit more time on this one, so I'm glad we will have more time to fix bugs, and we had a dev branch out a little sooner, which is also something new that we're trying, which is great. We're sort of splitting it up into phases. So excited to hopefully as we get closer and closer to 1.0, which is 6 to 12 months away. This process will get smoother and smoother, and it's great that this last dev branch actually had the most amount of concurrent players we've ever had in a dev branch. We launched it on Friday, and there was like almost close to 300 players that were in the dev branch. Which, when I saw the number, I thought I was looking at the live servers, and it turns out it was a dev branch. So there was a little bit of like a freak out moment. Like, what? Why is it so many players? The actual server that we run the dev branch on isn't intended to have that many players. It's intended to have like less than 100 players on it. So I had a little bit of like a freak out moment, like, oh my god, is the dev branch server just gonna come like crashing down? But it didn't. It held up, and it's good to see that we got a lot of testing done, because I think it almost, we're already able to do a little bit of the stress testing that we wanted to do, just by running the dev branch without anything special. So yeah, I'll leave it at that for now. And
That's
this is going to
great.
be a shorter than usual stream, just
Yeah.
to get that out there.
I think we're probably gonna have a little bit of an extended Q&A, so get your questions ready. Don't ask them now, or I will ignore them. Let's get right on to the community highlights, HB and Max.
Awesome.
How does that sound?
Sounds great.
Cool.
Mark's gonna be the one that is gonna run it. So first and foremost, we have here it's gonna be a very quick community highlights. We're not gonna have a very long one. I think only a couple things really deserve to be showcased. One of them is this one by Rickery. These two ones by Rickery. The Warden, basically the Warden troops and the Colonial troops. I always love when people do like kind of like the comparison between the two of them. It's always very interesting. Like it's very cool for me to see like how they interpret like the two factions. So like seeing, and I like collecting things. So like having all like both sides of the same type of illustration, I always think it's cool.
I always think it's really interesting because everybody always draws wardens with like mustaches. They're always very dapper.
The colonials are all like marks, and the wardens are all like HBs.
The second one that I thought that is like obviously incredible is that animation, that like animated GIF by Centrosk, and it's just fucking amazing. What can I say? Just so good.
Is that colonial? Sorry, just to ask.
There's a warden.
Right, that's a warden, but in the colonial image, is that mask a nod to like our times now that we're living in, or is that just completely different?
Is it just like a cool
I think
colonial ninja?
I think on Rickery's illustration, each one of the people on both illustrations are actually like a character of somebody, of a member of the community, or people, or things that he created. I remember that each one of them having like a name or something like that when it was being created.
Gotcha.
So I think each one is already a like established character in some sort of personal timeline or whatever, something like that. So I think that's how it is. I have no idea what's the reasoning behind the mask.
Gotcha.
It's just a cool colonial ninja, I'm telling you.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay. Just stood out to me a little bit.
That's what colonial partisans look like.
Yeah, and if you can move on, Mark. Then we have also by Agent Frost. Sorry, we saw some cool, very very cool Lego things before. We saw a bunch of Lego designs. Who was it by? Those Lego designs. I always forget the names of the people. Max.
I don't remember.
They made like tanks and other vehicles in the Lego Designer tool, which look amazing. But I think this is the first time that we see Foxhole with minifigs, and I absolutely love them, and I want them for myself.
Right, like this is like a real.
Yeah, I think this is real. If it's not real, it's amazing photo manipulation. But I'm pretty sure that these are minifigs done using different Lego parts and like printed like t-shirts. Like it just fits so well. I love it. I really wish we had like a full like tank and a Lego set with the minifigs, with the colonial minifigs and the warden minifigs. That would be so cool.
Is there actually a way to manufacture the stuff that you make in the software version?
There on the original software, you could actually print out like the instructions on how to put it together, like you see on a real standard Lego box. You can come with the manuals. The newest versions of the software, for some reason, removed that option.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if there's still. I'm sure that there are still ways to do it.
Isn't there also a way like you can like order it online? Like you can set it up yourself and then you can order.
Yeah, I think that was also on the previous version. I think they discontinued that option. You can still figure out like what are all the pieces and order all the pieces, of course, and do it yourself. But there was like when the software was originally created, the idea was that you create your own set and then you can actually ask them to print out the set and comes in a box for you. But I don't know if they do it anymore. I don't think they do it anymore.
It's a cool idea, though.
Yeah, on Brickmania. I think the Nerdiest Coconut mentioned like on Brickmania. Yeah, like I think you used to be able to literally just order the full set that you created. I don't know if you can do it still, but I think I don't know if these minifigs that we're seeing on the left side, I don't know if they are custom or if they are like a mashup of official parts. Like I know that the minifigs have rifles and stuff like that, but like the faces and the caps and stuff like that, they could be custom. I don't know enough about Lego nowadays to know. And last but not least, we also have the illustration by Slice on the right, which is another one of these slightly animated GIFs, which I really, really, really love.
Yeah, they've been a trend lately, and they look really cool, especially for Foxhole.
You know what I always like when I see this picture, Matt? What I think is like it's like the war is over, but then they're still using these harvesters in their farms instead of the war. Like,
yeah, absolutely. The harvester kind of look like old technology, even for them. Looks like it's the kind of technology that colonials just kept using.
Let's make a farming simulator game in the Foxhole universe, but it's like a single player, so there's no like conflict. You're just sitting there all day like farming.
Foxhole Moon. Dead Harvest Moon. Anyway.
Dead Harvest Moon.
That's on that note.
Man, we should do the next Dead Harvest is just about these are some of the new that I haven't seen it.
Those
wow,
two
cool.
on the
Awesome.
left are really good.
Yeah, this one by Dauntless is amazing. Yeah, I've seen the comic before, but I haven't seen this one by Dauntless. Wow, that's really, really cool.
That hat we need in the game.
Yeah, we need like the cold
war hat.
weather.
Yeah.
We need the cold weather like clothing in general. Like with mittens, like the colonial woman like there has like mittens and stuff like that, which would be really hard to shoot, but
You know what?
know.
We'll do that stuff at 1.0. How about that? How's that sound?
yeah, that
You
would be
saying it
really
here?
good.
All right. Yep, we got
Did
it.
you just announce it?
It's a confirmation.
Somebody clip
right
that,
here.
and every time Mark says something, just paste. No, don't do any of that.
And the other one is Pinga and Louis once again. The ones that we saw last time that they were having their date on the canon. Now they're just no, it's their adventures, and I think it's gonna be part 2 as well. So I'm looking forward to it because these comics are cute as hell. I really love it.
I find it interesting how many like cute things there are for a game like Foxhole. Like, it's I guess maybe like the far away camera sort of like lends to that, but it's I always like sort of expect we get a lot of like the grimdark stuff, and I expect that, but I didn't ever expect to see so much like cute chibi stuff.
I know, right?
Well, I think it's because I mean, this is just like random guess. Who knows? But it's like I think there's more to the game than just like the violent aspect. Like usually when you have a World War II game, it's just about the violent aspect, right? It's just about shooting. But in Foxhole, you have like truck driving, you have like mining, and you have all these other things that you're doing. You're like operating like cranes and stuff like that. My random guess is that kind of like broadens the type of perspectives people have when on the game world.
That's a good guess. How do you explain like the Baka Matai video?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't explain it. Is what you do.
I'm not the one to answer that because I literally have no idea what you just said. So
okay, you gotta see this video.
I love it. I thought it was that was like the apex of everything that has been created, like for Foxhole development before, like by the community. I think that was like the apex. It's just a piece of art. I love it. This one is so the UBG, which is the Brazilian clan, they did a naval invasion. It was fairly successful. I think it went pretty well. It was like one of the largest invasions that we've ever seen. So this is just like a cool video of them showcasing the invasion. So good for them. Congratulations to the UBG. Very, very well done.
It's really cool just to see this.
I caught wind of it. So these naval invasions are so funny because what ends up happening is we have these like tools that we use to keep tabs on the war, just so that we just know in general if something is going wrong or if there's something like exceptional happening that might need some extra care. We always have our tabs on it. And when both like the last two huge naval invasions, it's sort of like you suddenly see this weird like anomaly showing up in those tools. Like, why the hell is there suddenly a massive amount of colonials in this region when there shouldn't be? And then you log in, and then you see this huge invasion happening, and like as a developer, it's like super exciting to watch these, because this is like the reason why this is so exciting for us is because this, people talk about like the vision of the game all the time, and this is a big part of it, right? Like literally the tagline of the game is like hundreds of players working together to try to win the war, right? To try to sway the war, being able to have like an impact, and this kind of speaks exactly to that goal, right? It's like this massive operation, lots of players working together to try to pull this off, and I think that's why there's always an excitement. Every time this happens, there's always a whole bunch of excitement on our team, and this was no exception. So,
yeah, no, it's really, really cool to see. I see a lot of people being salty on the chat right now about the invasion. No, but it's like it was just like a bunch of players banding together, and they wanted to try this huge invasion, and guess what? They did it, and that's awesome. Like, doesn't matter. I don't even care if that region was retaken later on. Like, that was very successful for me. Like, they were able to do what they set their minds to do it.
Even if it failed, it's cool. It's like a cool experience.
It's pretty cool.
But this one, I don't know. This one did have like a moderate amount of success. This one was like a several day thing. They started by taking that island out in the middle of the water. There was this massive footage or massive invasion for that little thing too. And then from there, they based this assault. They took this town. I think it's Posterous, which blockaded the advanced ammo factory town, which they later on took that too. I think it lasted for a good 2 to 3 days before it was eventually repelled. But I mean, the Colonials won this war, and after seeing stuff like this, I think it's clear that they really did deserve it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's really cool. It's really cool when we see like a huge effort of a lot of players like this. I think that really showcases what the game can be. Well, thank you very much for everybody. So if you haven't seen, this is not all of the community highlights. This is just a preview of what's going to be in the blog post. So if you posted something that is not here right now, or if you want to see more of what is done, more videos, there's usually way more videos and things in writing than what we can properly showcase in this actual preview. So go check out the blog that comes up like soon after this, like later during this week. Thank you very much for continuing to make content. And if you want to send something to us so that we can showcase it in the community highlights, please do send it to me or to Max. We love talking about it. We love seeing it, and we'll try to showcase. Cool. We can go to development update now.
Great. Development update. So this is sort of the final bit of update 37 that we wanted to talk to you guys about. So this is going to be about a feature that we haven't talked about previously in the last two previews, but it's more of it's not a flashy, look at this exciting new feature that everyone's gonna love type of thing. It's more of falls under the category of like efficiency, where it's these problems that need to be solved, and there's these like, and then we have to go through a series of like experimentation before we can solve it, right? So just to get right to it, we all know about the facility efficiency experiment. It's been with us for about half a year. People's thoughts on it are mixed. I know a lot of people, it's not their most
Hold on, Mark.
favorite aspect.
HB, your typing is very loud.
Oh, I'll mute myself.
I apologize.
No, that's great.
Go ahead, Mark.
Make all that noise so no one will hear what I'm saying. That's great. But facility efficiency served a couple of purposes, and I wanted to talk to you guys about it a bit, and I also want to talk about what we're going to be doing about efficiency. So first of all, facility efficiency will be removed in the arms race update, and moreover, the facilities in general are also going to be gone. So that whole system of facilities and efficiency are going to be on the way out. But before everybody starts to celebrate, all the people that weren't a fan of it, I want to stop you right there because we are going to be implementing a new system that hopefully solves some of the problems, but it's not going to be a perfect solution. And like facility efficiency, it will require a level of iteration and experimentation before we get it right. Because a couple of points on facility efficiency, there is no black and white solution to the problems that efficiency was trying to solve, and in the same way, the new solution that we're going to be implementing is also not going to be a black and white solution, right? So facility efficiency, whether you love it or hate it, it did help us learn a few things. It helped us in regulating the pacing of this war, and largely helping with the complaints of the steep curve of snowballing and the severity of night swings, because we all have a short memory, including us. But in the past, one of the biggest complaints that we saw was that there's no point in even trying, because like the other side is just going to retake all your land extremely quickly. It doesn't matter how much effort you put in, it's all going to be gone the next day. And facility efficiency, love it or hate it, it did help in that department. And it also helped in the steep snowballing that we got, and it which allowed for other things to happen in the game, like people having a longer term progression in the game with various parts, like the base building. Now there was a point to actually spend a lot of time in building out the base and in a whole bunch of other parts of the game. But we definitely know there were a bunch of cons, and we're not like oblivious to this. It created a lot of uncontrollable situations for players. Like specifically, if you logged in at the wrong time, you would kind of be screwed over. And if you log in and then you look at um, the efficiency widget, it's at very low, and you're like, okay, well, we can't do anything right now, and then you're just completely locked out of being able to do anything, except kind of like hold your line, right? And we understand that was a huge problem. Um, it also was kind of strange in the sense that the amount of like upgrade part grind that you had to do, it, again, it could vary. If you came in at a low level, you have to do more grind, and it just was like a very it was just a very like, unpredictable thing that really made it difficult, caused a lot of frustrations, which we also saw. And it felt a little bit like, um, on like the artificial side, you kind of log in and then there's this thing written in the UI that's kind of like, oh, you can't do anything right now. You shouldn't even bother. And we saw these problems. But again, it's not black and white. And I think that anyone who thinks there's a black and white solution out there, I like to talk to you, and um, that would be great. But there is no black and white solution. So it's only, what are the trade-offs that will help us get to like a better future, with these problems that we're trying to solve with the war pacing, right? So what we're going to do is we're getting rid of the facilities and we're putting in a new system. Um, it's going to be the base upgrade system, and what this does is it not only hopefully will improve upon some of the cons of the efficiency system, but it'll also um, it'll also like unify a couple of systems in the game, because right now we have both the facilities and um, the infrastructure system. So another sort of side goal is, how do we unify these things so that we don't have so many different like systems in the game, right? Like, which is not necessary. We don't need to have so many different systems that are largely doing the same thing, right? Um, so this is going to be an experimental successor or alternative, and what this is trying to do is to turn it into more of like a democratic system, as opposed to like you logged in at the wrong time. Now we're not able to progress our base. Now it's more like, where are the where are the players going to be voting where they want the progression, right? Um, and we hope that by naturally allowing players to vote, by allowing players to vote where the progression is going to go, we'll see something that is more of a natural direction to where these things are happening, as opposed to this more like unnatural. I logged in at the right time. Now I'm allowed to say that this town is what gets all the upgrade parts, right? So bases now will progress automatically based on player activity and your vote, right? So when you open up a base screen now, you'll see this upgrade screen, and it'll show you a bunch of upgrades that are similar to the facilities that we had previously, but it's actually a bit more simplified. So we have the upgrades that are similar to the garrisons that we had previously, the small garrison facility, the large garrison facility, and also we have these other upgrades like the industry upgrade, which basically allows you to automatically get all the equivalent of what you used to have, on your refineries and your factories and so on and so forth, right? So players vote for their progression by setting your spawn point at the base, and then it allows you to vote. You can click on one of the upgrade trees, And what that does is it is a prioritization. It is a team prioritization that is the most important upgrade that your side wants, right? Um, so it's kind of similar to the spawn point system, where spawn points are the strongest where the players are. And the progression of speed is also naturally determined by um, player activity, like supplying a base, making structures. So the summary of how this is basically going to work is wherever the players are spawning, where they're building structures, where they're supplying a base, where they casted the vote and they said this is the base that should be upgraded. That's where uh, the upgrades are going to be. Um, so that's generally how it works. And every type, each type of base is going to have its own set of trees. And with the bunker base, this is going to be merged in with the infrastructure system of the old, so that we don't have, again, all these like multiple systems, and it's just going to be one system now. And to sort of talk a little bit about the expectations here, um, we're hoping it retains the benefits that facility efficiency had. So we don't want to start back from square one. We don't want to go all the way back to the beginning and then we're like, okay, we have to implement a new facility efficiency. We'd rather try to take some of the benefits that we had and try to retain them here, right? We want to remove the uncontrollable situation. So we want to remove those frustrating scenarios where you log on at the wrong time. And we're hoping that this will help for a more natural progression of the bases, where players don't have to do anything extra. You don't have to grind for upgrade parts. Just by doing what you're normally doing already, bases are going to naturally progress. And some other side benefits that we're hoping for is because your factories, your depots, and your refineries are tied to these base upgrades, you can't just it eliminates a whole class of what are kind of seen as like cheap tactics, like being able to like reset a refinery just because you're able to sneak in a CV at the back when no one was watching. We're hoping that this will also help with that sort of thing. So you can really only try to like reset these buildings after you've truly like dominated a town, right? And you've been able to like naturally grow it to some degree. And operations like beach landings won't be stifled by a lack of efficiency, because there's going to be more details this in the dev branch, which we hope to update this afternoon. But we want to allow players to be able to do things like if everybody if you're doing like a naval invasion and you take over a town, everybody sets their spawn point there. That you should be able to get that town at least up and running to like a minimal degree, so that you can properly defend that town, um, instead of just being stuck. We can't do anything, right? So we're hoping this is another side benefit that is going to come from this new system. But I just want to be upfront about how this can happen. This is a work in progress. It's not going to be like a magic bullet. A lot of people are going to go back and be like, well, this is going to be bad because of XYZ. You're probably right. But what we want to do is we don't want to stay with the efficiency system, because we got a lot of feedback about it. We ourselves can see all the problems with it, and we're going to be trying something new, right? So I hope that you guys can see that this is going to be um, something we're trying new, and hopefully it will be better than the prior system, right? But it won't be without some level of risk. So that's kind of it in terms of features. So look for that in the dev branch. That again, we're hopefully rolling that out a bit later this afternoon. In terms of what's left in the schedule, we're going to do a dev branch this afternoon. We're going to do the last phase of the dev branch on Thursday, and then we're going to roll out resistance phase on Monday, and that will be in there until Wednesday. And that's when the actual full release is going to be coming with a cool lookout on Tuesday as well. The dev blog, this slide is really poorly put together because it says dev blog 3 in all the situations, but we're really busy, so I will be okay with that to some degree. But yeah, on Tuesday there's going to be a dev blog with a bunch of concept art that Julian made for this update, and I think it's probably the most concept art he's ever done for a single update. So that's it. Another note is that we were originally going to do a stress test, but for now that's put on hold, and we're going to focus on resistance phase instead. But if that changes, we'll let you guys know. And that's it.
Cool. All right, guys. So ask your questions, and I will try to give them to the guys here. Do you want me to? You want to close that thing, Mark?
Yes.
Maybe I'll stop watching. There we go. All right. Let me just ask one of the random questions that have just been asked. So I'll just ask the first one by Ironfire. Maybe I misunderstood, but if base upgrades are based on vote and player activity, won't this hurt upgrading backline areas?
It's a very good question. So, what's going to happen is that in the backline, there are different factors that help this grow, and the main driving factor of the front line is going to be players that have set their spawn points, players. But in the backline, there are other factors that matter too, like how much the base is being supplied, how much building activity there is. So, and also the fact that if it's in a friendly starter territory or not. So, just by what how the system is going to be tuned is that if you're in the backline trying to build out a bunker base as an example, right? This shouldn't hurt you. You should be able to progress your bunker base, um, hopefully just as well as you were previously in the past. But if you just kind of slap down a fob in the middle of nowhere in the back line and you don't do anything with it, it's not going to be useful then, right? So that's what this is trying to do. It's not trying to stifle what anyone is trying to do. It's actually trying to help you accomplish your same goals without having to explicitly grind, right? It's really, if you're in the back line, um, we're really hoping that just you're going to be building structures naturally already. You're not just going to plop down a fob and not do anything. You're going to put down a building like a bunker base, hopefully, or even a fob. And as long as you're putting like G supplies into it, as long as you're building like defenses, you should be fine there, right? It's meant to make those situations a lot more like seamless, but to get rid of a lot of the cheap type of tactics, like just slapping down something in the middle of nowhere and not really like supplying it, and you know those sorts of things you probably won't be able to do as effectively. Things that you hopefully will be able to do more effectively is if you have your entire clan doing like an operation and they all make a fob somewhere and everyone sets their spawn point, you'll probably just be fine. Or again, if you have like a few builders in the back line, you'll probably just be fine too. Or if you're just naturally at the front, took over like abandoned ward at the start of the war, you'll just be fine there as well. So those sorts of cases, it's like the goal is to make it so that those sorts of situations you'll just be fine. But as I mentioned, like it might take some time tune things to get to that point. So like you're gonna have to give the system some time as well.
Okay. Lil Gucci 5 asks, will we still have to build bunker base infrastructure upgrades for things like bunk beds and lockers?
So the bunker base has one of its upgrade trees, or two of its upgrade trees still has the requirement, but instead of those modifications like the bunk beds and the toilet, which is my personal favorite, instead of those dictating the rate of growth, it's actually going to be like a requirement. So you're going to have to be like, we need 30 toilets before this particular thing becomes like available. So it's almost like a tech. It's almost like it makes available the upgrades, but you still have to progress to them through um, the votes and such.
I'm gonna ask a joke question, so just bear with me. Laharo55 asks, can HB pomade his mustache for 1.0? HB is muted.
Yeah.
Right now. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if I have a strong enough reason to do so. And if I can convince my girlfriend, that is a good idea.
I'm sure there's some kind of like a legal issue somewhere in there, HB.
Yeah.
Force your team member to
like
grease up
their
his mustache.
I'll have to talk to HR.
Yeah.
Trento asks, can a clan just mass vote something in a base, or is there a limit to how many votes can be submitted in a specific amount of time?
No, there isn't. So how it works is if your spawn point is not your vote is always tied to where your spawn point is. So sure, your entire clan is completely free to do something like that. But if you leave that base at your spawn point somewhere else, then it's gone. And to be clear, it's not it 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 won't be this like it won't be like a linear multiplier like if you just get enough people to vote for something, then it's gonna instantly grow. All it is it's saying the priority of my team says that sorry this I've cast my vote to say our faction is prioritizing this in this region at this time, right? That's more of how it works.
Exon asks, now that vehicles are getting a physics overhaul, can we expect the option of manually shifting gears in the future? It might make driving less monotonous.
Yeah, so it's funny that you talk about that because when we originally implemented the new physics system, it actually felt really weird once we had proper like acceleration mechanics in there. Like some of the vehicles felt like they were always stuck in high gear, and we had a hard time in tuning that. And what we actually had to do was to implement a version of uh, sort of like an approximation of like an automatic transmission where our first step was let's just add in like a low gear mode, so it was like a two geared vehicle basically, but even that wasn't enough, and things like trucks and stuff like that really had a hard time when they kind of got past the low gear, and it took a long time before they would reach um, their top speed. So we had to actually go in there and um, turn it into more of a curve or more of a stepped graph um, in the engine torque, so that it what the effective outcome is that now it feels a little bit like an approximated version of like an automatic transmission with like a whole bunch of gears in it. But having said all that, it's a really cool idea. I guess the question is more um, at what level of granularity do we want the driving simulation to be at, right? Because there's all these various this is actually a question that we ask ourselves for almost like every part of the game. It's like how much granularity do we want? Because for something like a crane, how much controls do you want there? For something like even like a gun, like how fine tuned do you want to get there? And I think we'll just have to wait and see if it warrants something like that. I mean, there's been people on our team that have said, "Hey, we should just be able to hook up like a driving wheel and like a steering wheel,
And pedals and everything. I
and
think
pedals and everything." But it's like
I want it to be like analog.
A top-down viewpoint. I mean, I don't know. Like it's
It's tough because our game is a sum of many parts, not a deep dive into like individual parts. So with certain things like that, I think somewhere in between like simulation and sort of a more arcadey like feel is probably the way it's kind of the way we often go with a lot of our mechanics. So I don't really know how to say this name, so I'm not going to. Are you guys going to buff half-track speed? It seems extremely slow, slower than infantry or trucks.
I could probably field that one. I mean, yeah, I think you guys saw the big bullet point on the dev stream or the dev branch that uh, this particular branch is not for balancing. We don't have all the vehicles in there right now, so you guys can't really see and compare like which ones are how they're going to work. When you try it out, for example, the half track, you may not be getting a. You may be only trying, for example, the Warden anti-tank half track, which could move slower than any of the other half tracks. So once we get them all in, we'll be looking more for you guys' feedback. We'll be keeping an eye on the dev branch feedback channel for that. And I think, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, the dev branch that we're going to start testing for balance is coming out either today or tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can wrap up this stream soon so we can get it out.
Was
in the
that
next couple of
was that a hint? All right, we'll take 2 more questions and then we'll call it.
You know what, Matt? Let's do 3 because we did say this was a bit of an extended one, so we'll.
You heard the man.
I don't want to be.
Sargoopnak. You guys gotta get better names. Is there
Just get a better name, man.
Get better names.
Shade.
Is there a set amount of people that are needed to upgrade a town? I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, so like I think on the average what you can expect is if you have a couple of people if you have a frontline town, like if it's take the last war and there was kind of like a back and forth for a very long time in the Deadlands and Farinac Coast, I believe. In those types of situations, you probably won't even really notice. Like that's what we're hoping for is that in those type of situations, it will progress. Those towns will progress roughly the same as the efficiency system. So like if you took over like a Jade Cove or something like that, and it's right there at the front. That it's still it's not gonna be like instant. It's gonna be like the outcome is gonna be like the same pacing as the efficiency system, right? Possibly even slower, but it's gonna be like a gradual thing, right? It's gonna take time, and as long as you have a couple of players that are doing things there, if you're supplying the base, if you're building structures there, it should almost be a seamless thing, like same as before, except you don't have to grind for parts. Um, where where the where it gets tricky is in the special cases, like in the back line or if you're doing like a beach landing. But the whole point of one of the big points of why we're trying to do the system is so that we can get all those different scenarios to feel as natural as the default scenario of taking a town at the front, where you're not struggling with these strange like barriers, but you're also not getting this enormous like benefit for like doing nothing, right? So an example is like a long time ago, you were able to do things in the game like just sneak a CV in the back line, and then on the first day of the war, you just take over a couple of towns and all the way at the back, like reaching trail or something completely like ridiculous like that. And you're actually able to start like, upgrading it and have your guys start to spawn there, right? So the goal of the system is like to not allow things like that to happen when it's a low effort, right? It's just whatever. It's like 2 3 players. They're not really supplying it. They're just able to pull off something really cheap. But what we want with the system is that if there is a if there is a concerted effort, there's um, if there's like a few like dozen players that are trying to actually do something like that in the enemy backline with a beach landing or something like that, that they're able to sort of have this natural growth of their base without being stifled.
Okay. I can't remember. I actually lost the question, so I'm gonna just kind of paraphrase. There is some concern over like seaport positions in the current dev branch. Like a lot of that has changed, so just look out for it in the next one, in the next dev branch. Some of it won't, but a lot of it did change. So that's my answer to that. So let's find one more really good question. Ask your best questions now. And we'll kind of Okay. Thex Doctor asks, are there plans to make where you shoot a tank affect a subsystem? The question is strangely worded, but are there plans to make it where you shoot a tank affect the subsystem or sort of affect the penetration, like rather than what the system is now?
So right now, for subsystems, it does. It's actually like a pretty clear cut thing. If you shoot a turret, I can see Max smiling because he had a helping hand in making this work. But it's pretty awesome. If you shoot a turret, then and it penetrates, it will disable the turret. If you shoot if you shoot the track, it will disable the track. If you shoot the back, which is generally where we have deemed the fuel tank to be, just so that there is a convention and players won't be confused, it will rupture the fuel tank. I don't know, Max, if you want to add anything more to that.
Yeah, I don't want to add that much more to that, except because we've mentioned this several times on the dev channel or the dev branch channel. We really want you guys to sort of feel it out and figure it out. I know that's really frustrating for some of you to hear because you really want to get the nitty gritty and how it works, and you want to know more about it. But when we found from the past that when we tell you guys too much about these systems, it's like we get feedback that's almost secondhand. Like people will disagree with the idea at its core concept without ever actually giving it a shot and trying it out. So we really, when the new patch comes out today or tomorrow, with all the tanks and things, we really would love for you guys to test out everything, and including like what Mark was saying, shooting the tank turret, shooting the track, shooting the engine. What are the chances of the subsystem disables? Do you think it's going to be too it's going to make them too soft? Are they too hard to kill? All of these questions are really important, and right now we've done really a preliminary balance pass on all of this stuff. So we need you guys to sort of give us that feedback. And to be clear, the best kind of feedback we can get is not stuff that's particularly explicit. People, don't get me wrong, we love it when you guys will test out like, oh, it takes 10 tank shells to knock out a turret, or it takes 5% chance to knock out the track. That's useful, but what's most useful to us is really just how it feels. When you guys give us feedback about a tank, tell us that it feels like it just feels weak, or it feels strong, or that it's moving too quickly, or it feels too quickly for the kind of armor or the amount of damage that it's taking or dealing. All of this stuff is really useful, more than you might know. So all of that kind of feedback is very useful for us. So once again, once you get the dev branch, give it a shot.
So, I mean, just like before, people were talking about how the half track that is in the current dev branch, the speed compared to everything, that's really useful feedback, actually. It feels strange,
yeah.
And so we know that now that it feels strange, but also the whole picture isn't there because it wasn't meant for balance. But regardless, like that's a really good example.
And we are hoping to get you the big picture before the end of the day or tomorrow morning when we update this branch next. It will have everything except for the tanks, so it should be mostly enough for you guys to start giving us more of that kind of feedback. What we want to do with the first branch last week was to sort out the initial round of bugs, right? Because when we're dealing with the bugs, it's hard to deal with the balance at the same time because you just have so many things that you're trying to fix at once. So now that we're sort of overcoming the first wave of the bugs, we're sort of going to be more in a position to start talking about all those other balance issues.
And all the bug reports were extremely helpful. There was quite a few, and that's why we put it. That's exactly why we did it. So, yeah. All right, Mark, Marker, Max, do you guys have any final thoughts? I'm going to take that
nope.
as a no. HB, take us out.
Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. We're going to be posting this on YouTube very soon, probably between today and tomorrow. So we're going to be answering some questions on the comments below as well, hopefully. I don't know if we can get to many because we're very, very busy. Keep an eye open for the dev blogs that are going to be coming next week and everything else as well. We're going to continue to be talking about the update. Join the dev branch if you can. If you find something broken there, send us a bug report. They are very, very helpful. Otherwise, we'll be seeing each other again in 2 weeks. Once again here at twitch.tv/Foxhole Game.
Don't forget about the other podcast that we do.
I was not going to forget it, but
why don't you continue what I was saying?
Okay, yeah. Well, the other podcast that we do is a Foxhole After Dark, which is just me, Max, and Matt. Sometimes a fourth guest invited. We just talk about a random topic. It happens at night at 6 p.m. on Wednesdays on the weeks that this dev stream doesn't happen. Next topic is going to be Japan. Other than that,
also we're archiving them on our Twitch page, and you can watch the last one.
Other than that, please join our official Discord, discord.gg/Foxhole. Send us a message there. Send us a message on Reddit. We read them. Even the ones that are disparaging, we actually read them, unfortunately. But it happens. We have to take the good and the bad. Other than that, yeah, that's it. Just join the community, talk to us. That's it.
All right, everybody. Stay foxy. Can't find them. And